no one sees the kind of messy stuff that we go through on the front end of just sitting on the floor, like panicking and like, oh God, like I gotta do this thing and this thing didn't work out, and you're kind of like crying to yourself. And I kind of joke, I'm like, what do you got around, 2 to 3 today? I'm like, well, looking at my schedule, I'm probably going to be crying on my floor, like, what about you?
Biggest takeaways. That's a tough one to put me on the spot here. I feel like we've had some good ones. I mean, the last 3 with Matt, Kevin, and John were all really fun to watch.
I never started talking about my traumas until lately. It's because I was very uncomfortable with it. Like, it was holding me back.
I had 2 different people mic'd up, and in my headphones it splits so I could hear one person in one and one in the other. Person in my right ear, all of a sudden I hear them just like bust through a door. You hear a zipper go down and they start just peeing like a fire hose.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Fit and Frugal. I'm super excited for this episode, the 21st fucking episode. We've made it past a huge milestone of apparently being in the top 1% of podcasters who quit, right? And I remember when we first started, I have here with me, the man behind the camera of all of this crazy vision that I've had 21 episodes ago. I can't do math. When I first texted Shawn, like, hey, I'm thinking about doing a podcast. Like, what do you think? What should we do? And now he gets to sit here beside me hosting or co-hosting this episode. And I'm super excited to get him out from behind the camera and into a chair with this huge dick in front of him.
This huge black dick in front of me.
We don't want to be all racist.
Yeah.
So welcome, Shawn. How does it feel to step out from behind the camera and into a chair? And because you've seen all of our of course, myself and all of the guests throughout our previous episodes, and you've, really mentored me throughout the entire journey of what to do, what not to do. Don't do this. You look stupid. You never said that. So how does it feel? What's the energy that you're getting?
It feels good. I mean, it's definitely different. I'll probably have more sympathy for people who are on camera now after experiencing it more, because I'm so used to being behind the camera. But it feels nice. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
By the way, it's actually Wolverine. I think he's gonna do a stunt double as a Wolverine after.
It is Halloween month, so he definitely has the Wolverine look.
Yeah, right.
Badass.
Giving me some Halloween costume ideas now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and it's super frugal too. You just gotta buy those little claws and maybe throw on those like really fake nails and go like the frugal edition and just not get the claws and just put on girl claws.
Girl clothes.
Every Halloween I try to always spend as little money as possible on like the costumes. So I just do whatever matches kind of my hair and my beard of like what I got going on.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is that in my teenage years, I've always been so accustomed to spending so much money because when we were growing up, Halloween, it's like the epitome like holiday for slutty girls. And coming from the rave scene, like I'm used to like being in my underwear and fishnets, and that's just like the everyday wear. When you go to a rave, you're in your underwear and bra, pasties, whatever. And Halloween is like, who can be sluttier? And now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, I need my sweats. Like, is there an outfit around being a bum?
The onesies.
I'm cold. Yeah, I noticed that on, I think, my 25th birthday, and I'm like, I went to a costume party that was a onesie party. Never been happier. So I'm like, my ass is not out. There's no tits. Like, what is this? Oh my God, I'm so warm and comfortable.
A onesie party. I want to go to that.
Yeah. Yeah, but what has been your biggest takeaway from, some of the guests that we've had on that really kind of highlights you as your artistic eye behind the camera to how you capture each guest differently, because we've shot on so many different sets as well?
Well, I feel like the last couple ones we had at the Sterling Club, we were getting into our groove. I liked how we were having them similar to this, where they're more facing each other. And then just kind of dial it in each time, try to make it look clean if we can, make sure the white balance is balanced. Biggest takeaways, that's a tough one to put me on the spot here. I feel like we've had some good ones. I mean, the last 3 with Matt, Kevin, and John were all really fun to watch. I feel like the synergy with John was great. That one I know is probably our longest one that we filmed. But I think if I had to give the Cliff Notes version of the takeaways, it's, everyone has their own story and journey and, probably something that they're dealing with. Even if on the surface it looks as though we have it all figured out, I think, there's more to the story than meets the eye.
Yeah, and I agree with that because I think it took us all the way to finishing those 20th episode, right? Because John was the 20th episode. To actually us getting on the phone and really kind of narrowing in on our relationship on the back end too, not just as, client-vendor relationship. I hate calling it that because it's so transactional, but we started this as friends and we were communicating the relationship like, hey, we're homies, we're going to be working together, we're going to be growing this thing that we don't really have an exact idea of, not using a studio until right now in this very moment we're shifting the set. And how does that feel for you? Like, let's just say if someone was just to look at your social media, right, and all they see is you doing behind the camera work and just showing your work, but do you feel that that introvert part of you is kind of now grown a little bit more in terms of like you wanting to create more content when you're in front of the camera more and showing like your personality and who you are?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely the way it's going with social media. Everyone's making direct camera, talking head footage, and education based, is kind of the next wave, I think. I think it helps with the environment too, when you're with other people that are creating, you feel more inspired to create and collaborate with them. So yeah, it's definitely something I'm working on. I think I've noticed a lot of creators too are working on that. They're so used to being behind the camera and now they're trying to work on, content for themselves, getting in front of the camera.
Yeah. Because your story that you shared with me behind, all of that, it took us a lot of relationship building. It took us on a journey of like probably 6 months, right? Of not having a consistent flow into getting a consistent flow. And we're always pivoting with each episode and changing and talking about other people's stories. And I found your stories like really fascinating is because no one ever really focuses on the right aspects of the human design and like the human condition that people each individually have stories. And when you are behind the camera, you're always trying to just capture the art in front of you, right? And you kind of put yourself on the back pedestal for that relationship in exchange for, that time that you spend together. Yeah, like what have you learned so far about yourself in terms of just coming out and like sharing more of your stories, and you can share as much or as little as you want. This is not.
Yeah.
Because I've heard some things that really inspired me to actually like, that's who I actually want to be on this 21st episode, because it is a celebration that I want to share this really big monumental moment with you.
Yeah.
Not just as another guy,
Wait, so what's the question again?
So the this sounds like us on set. Like, what was I saying?
Yeah.
So the question is like, so with your story and your journey, and I know you've shared with me, the behind the scenes stuff that you've never talked about. Which, if you're comfortable, you can share that because I want to show who you are as a creator. And how much of that relationship building actually is comfortable for you to start sharing your story on what it actually takes to be Shawn Maguire.
What it takes to be Shawn Maguire. Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a journey. I think being a content creator, digital creator, you hear a lot of stories, you capture a lot of stories. I think kind of back to my first answer of like, we're all going through something and we're all more humanized than we think. Like for instance, I was filming once at a conference where one of the headline speakers was like, does anybody got a toothpick? I got something in my teeth. He was like kind of adamant about like, I'm not going to go out until I like either floss or get a toothpick because I think there's something in my teeth, even though he probably felt it. But when we all looked, he's like, do I have anything in my teeth? And we're like, no. And I was like, man, this is like a real moment to like see this dude who like, you wouldn't even think, it's like we all have worries. We all go through like the different emotions of like fear, anger, sadness, lust or love, happy. But yeah, it's definitely been a journey, being a content creator for myself, and just, it's all encompassing of, what anyone else has to do when they have like their own business. But, from finding the clients, fulfilling the needs. So for me, it'd be like filming and editing, and then finding, more work to do. But yeah, it's been a roller coaster. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's the entrepreneur roller coaster behind the scenes that we talked about with like
Yeah.
intake and money each month, expenses, and all of that stuff that, I recently finally did my 2022 taxes. I'm like, holy shit, like what the fuck happened, you know? And people don't really talk about that part of entrepreneurship because there's this, not just a highlight reel that you want to put on social media, because I feel like there's a lot of creators that's actually coming out with more authentic content that's actually really inspiring. It's just them in their normal life, not the creator, the influencer life that is so glossed over by social media, the rose-colored glass of what people's life should look like and what you want other people to perceive your life to be. But no one sees the kind of messy stuff that we go through on the front end of just sitting on the floor, like panicking and like, oh God, like I gotta do this thing and this thing didn't work out, and you're kind of like crying to yourself. And I kind of joke, I'm like, what do you got around, 2 to 3 today? I'm like, well, looking at my schedule, I'm probably going to be crying on my floor, like, what about you?
Crying on the couch.
Crying on the couch today. Maybe fetal position. I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm going to use my blankie or not, like.
Yeah.
But we all have designed this social media reel to be such like a highlight of like a mass-produced version of what we need to look like on social media, so that we get clients, we get leads, and everyone kind of comes to like a conversion rate of how many clicks you're getting, how many views your eyeballs are getting. But it's really hard to actually capture the personality and the character behind everything, right? And I find that really inspiring, like the stories that you've shared with me and like everything that you went through. And I never started talking about my traumas until lately. It's because I was very uncomfortable with it, like it was holding me back. And I think when I was on another pod yesterday and I felt this lightness that just kind of came off of my shoulders, it felt like 100 pounds just came out of my head. And it was just such like a magical moment to just kind of sit with someone and kind of hold space for that, because like we all have different things that create us into this version of who we are. And lately, that's the kind of content that I've been more resonating with and drawn to. And that's the kind of level of conversations that I feel like, people, it's really hard for people to have. Is there something that, by going to your social media, is there anything about you that you don't think people will know about you by just looking at you from your social media page?
Yeah, I mean, probably a lot. I think, that's what they say for business. It's like you got to like, know, and trust the person to do business with them. I've been posting a little bit more. Alex, Felice, and I have been doing once a week conversations for 30 minutes, and we're eventually going to start having guests. So excited about that. After we hit episode 10, we're on like 9. But yeah, I've been starting to share a little bit more like in my stories and stuff. But I think it's a fine line. I don't know. It just seems like a little bit difficult, right? Because we all are told like don't care about what people think, but like we all do, and like don't look at the vanity metrics, but they're right there, like in front of you. Like now, even Instagram updated on the back end. If you look at View Insights, you can see the watch time and how long people are watching the clips.
No way.
Similar to YouTube.
So it's like YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And so I think, we all kind of want to put our best foot forward, but sometimes it's harder to be that vulnerable, authentic self. So something that I'm working on, probably could do a little bit better on sharing more, but I've been trying to share more of my interests and hobbies and like the gym stuff, like been rock climbing and getting outside. But yeah, I think I'm still like in that newer kind of evolution of posting and sharing more and feeling comfortable with it after kind of being behind the camera more. Now it's like, okay, try to do both.
Yeah, because I know that you shoot for a lot of big names out there. We don't need a name drop, but you're shooting mostly masterminds, you're shooting mostly conferences, to where it's 100, 200, 500 people at once that you have access to, but you can't integrate into the conversation because you have to be focused at your craft, right? Your craft is to capture.
Mm-hmm.
And where do you find yourself on that leverage of being in the same room with all of these really, high level successful people? And I know you've shared some of those names that you actually get to talk to, and the humanizing concept of like, this guy is human just like us, but he just has 8 figures more than us in his bank account, and probably like a 9-figure, net worth. And we're all here, like, yeah. And that, I find that really inspiring. It's just that how do you manage, yourself in these rooms of being intentional about who you want to interact with, so that you can get into the conversations of actually connecting with them on a human level, not just like, hey, I'm your videographer, can I get your contact and exchange some kind of value? Because it's really hard, because you're actually providing a lot more value than people think, right? But you don't get a lot of that segment of time to actually go talk to people and network. Even though you're there at a networking event, you have the least amount of time. So how do you, figure out what's important to you and what you value when you have that opportunity for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, so firstly, when I'm filming, it's like the same as like when you're driving and listening to like an audiobook, and then like 10 minutes in, you're like, life gets on your mind. You're like, oh yeah, I'm listening to an audiobook. It feels like that when I'm filming. Like I'm not really listening to the speaker, and I know it's different when you're like an captive audience listener taking notes versus somebody in the room filming. Try to just feel out the room, at least when I'm back there, and or give context, like tell them, hey, I'll be popping out of the curtain and getting a gimbal shot, and or coordinate with the other video guys or their video person. I resonate more at the events, talking to the people that are, I think, the attendees. And I film a lot of real estate events, so I think the people that are like just getting started are a little bit more fun to talk to for me, just because it's like we're kind of closer in level. Like you talk to somebody who's like, oh, I got 500 doors and been doing this for 20 years. Get into real estate. You're just like, man, like you cannot relate to me at all right now, because
I'm trying to buy my first door.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm not even there yet, So I think trying to just find the people to talk to that are, maybe a few steps ahead or behind are like the ones that have a little bit better synergy, because then it's not as intimidating, It's like when you talk to that person that's like, oh, I have 500 doors, you're like, I'll never be them. But when you talk to somebody who's like, oh, I just got my first rental, and you're like, oh, sick, like tell me about it.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, it took me 18 months to plan or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think but I just always try to say hi to everyone too. I mean, when they see you with the camera, they know you're there most of the time filming, and then you got like a badge that says like staff or media. But just try to smile and say hi, because at these events, that's like where the connections happen. I've seen it happen firsthand, time and time again, where people are meeting people where it becomes business partner, or collaborator, or somebody they start a meetup with, and you're just literally like one connection away from potentially pivotal moment in your career or life. So just try to be unforgettable, smile, and just say hi to people, and then I think too, at the networking parts where like they're doing the parties, that's like my time to like maybe meet people and be like, hey guys, get together for a little like video clip and cheers to the camera or something, and then might get to talk to them after and be like, hey, what do you do? But really, I just like to say hi and be friendly to everyone, and just look at it as we're all here trying to learn, grow, and get better. And I want to make everyone look their best.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah. Make them look cool,
Yeah, I've had some very weird angles of me. When I work with other people, I'm like, really? You think this is my best side? Like,
yeah, right. Right.
No, I find that fascinating, is because that's how we became friends, like at a mastermind. I'm
yeah.
like, hey, this guy looks cool. And I just came up and talked to you. And it wasn't even about going there and taking pictures with like the big big shots, like the headliners. Yeah, I did a little bit of that because you need that like a little bit of ego flex for social media. And what I found since I started getting on social media, like those posts don't really make me feel good on the inside. It looks good, you know, taking like cool pictures. But if I actually can't have a conversation with that person, it doesn't really show who I am, because it, at the end of the day, it kind of becomes like a generic post. Went to blah, blah, blah mastermind today, and I learned this, and the power of proximity, and it's all about network, and your network or your net worth, and blah, blah, blah. And everyone has the same caption, right? But what is the actual, you know, really valuable takeaways? It's like the friends that you have conversations with, that you know about their kids, you know about their struggles, you know about their pain, their fears, because that's the elevated conversation. Because if you can condense that time and compress that time into how long we've known each other to actually have a relationship outside of the transactional means of like, hey, you want to shoot a podcast, you know, and just that idea exchange. And now we're like, hey, I'd love to introduce you to this person and this person. And I found that to be way more organic than any of the posts that I've posted. I removed it from my social media because I'm like, this is not me. I don't need to tell people, like, unless it's Grant Cardone. Cool, then I got to flex. Like, I got a picture with Grant Cardone.
And then post it 10 times. Because 10x.
10x.
Yeah.
And also it's because I probably forget and have to do it 10 times, you know?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so what, you know, for the relationship aspects, you know, with you and your personal friend circle, I know we've talked about like how we both just hide at home and we get so into our creating zone that we forget that the world kind of exists.
Sure.
You know, and I'm like, when is the last time I left my office? So
Yeah.
besides filming or like going to Costco to get groceries, I'm like, did I leave the house this week?
Yeah, wow.
You know, and how has that been for you when you picked up that self-awareness in terms of like, man, I gotta go talk to people? How has that been for you?
Yeah, I think pre-COVID I was more of an extrovert, and then COVID kind of made me more of an introvert. And now I'm trying to get out of the shell more, go to more events, talk to more people. But yeah, I can relate to that. You know, there's been days where I'll be at home and just kind of in the zone, doing my thing. I started going to the gym earlier now too, when nobody's there. So like I like it because I'm like getting up early and you start the day right. But then on the other end, I'm like, I don't like see anybody because it's a 24/7 gym. It's the Pad in Henderson.
Yeah.
So you can just scan in. And so like sometimes I'll go at like 6 or 7 and I'll be lucky if I'll see like one person there. But yeah, I think it's good to be social and talk to people because I feel that, you know, especially as a creative, like I talked to some other friends about this that can resonate too. Like, you know, the social time that you get might only be when you're filming with people or if you have a partner at home, or like if you have phone calls. But I, you know, I'd like to think I'm a social person. You know, I was like really outgoing and would do a lot of activities and things pre-COVID. So I think now I'm trying to kind of get back to that side of, you know, going out more, talking to people, enjoying life, you know, doing fun stuff. But it's definitely been a journey because for a while it was just like, it's easy to kind of repeat that cycle, you know, of like if you're at home and stay at home.
Yeah.
To not go out.
I think a lot of people see that as, oh, well, that's the thing that you want to do. You want to edit and behind the screen for like 18 hours a day, right? Not 18, maybe like 12. I don't know. It's funny that you go to the gym when there's no one there.
Yeah.
It's like your attempt at social interaction turns out to be the time where no one wants to go. Because that's like the 1% hour. Like, who the fuck goes to the gym at 5 a.m.? Like, holy fuck, it's cold. Like, I want to be in my pajamas, you know?
Yeah, right. Well, I used to go in the evenings. I should probably start going in the evenings again. It's like a good little reminder, at least to, I think, my subconscious, like, all right, you're doing something for you right away in the morning. And that's taking care of your body and getting out of your head. And like this morning I hate running, but I've been doing it just to practice doing things that I don't like to do. So I ran 3 miles today and like,
oh my God.
Well, it's a lot to me because like
It's a lot.
I despise running, but I just get on the treadmill and just hit it and start going. And I started a couple of weeks ago going like 2 or 3 times a week, and I like only increase like the speed by 1, you know, so it was like 6.1 or 6.2, and then I'm just like slowly increasing the length, the distance. So like today it was 3.2 miles, but in the last time was 3.1, and time before that was 3. But I don't know why I'm telling you this, but
6.2 is fast, bro.
Yeah.
Once I hit, I think 7.2 once, and I'm like, I had like my fucking big ego on. I'm like, oh, if I can do 6.2, what's 7.2? I got on it. I swear to God, it was like 38 seconds, and I had to like jump to the side, and I've never like breathed like harder.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, I'm like, fuck, I'm so out of shape. It's like I just took like 10 flight of stairs, but it's like 38 seconds of running.
Right.
And that's when I realized, I'm like, fuck, I hate cardio too. I just have to find other ways to do it, and it's I don't know, it's terrible. Like I can't do it.
I just try to work on my breathing. Like the whole time I'm like, like I just try to do like the deep breaths. And I like doing it on the treadmill versus outside, because at least I have like, it sets the pace. I feel like if I went outside, I would just like stop running. Like I'd like run like 100 yards and then just like stop.
I would just walk.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, maybe I should go to the gym more in the afternoon, evening time, because
You're like,
there'll be
why I'm
people
telling you
there.
this.
Yeah.
What's the funniest thing you've seen that you filmed at like any events that like still stays fresh in your mind, like a funny moment or something that really stays with you?
Oh, okay. Yeah, good question. All right, so one time I had 2 different people mic'd up, and in my headphones it splits, so I could hear one person in one and one in the other. And the guy on the left ear was talking to somebody else, and they're both Christian, and they're like, oh, like this was so inspiring. It was so, your story, it was basically inspirational. And they're talking about how, everything happens for divine timing and God, and, just connecting because of that. Person in my right ear, all of a sudden I hear them just like bust through a door. You hear a zipper go down and they start just peeing like a fire hose. But they're sending somebody a voice note. And I thought they were talking to me, like realizing like, oh, Shawn has headphones in and can hear me. Because they're like, this is a great event. And as you hear them just like peeing, and then in the other ear, those 2 guys are talking about God. And so like that was kind of funny, because I think people forget sometimes that they're like mic'd up. And if you're like recording, I wasn't obviously in the bathroom recording that guy, but I was recording the other 2 talk. But yeah, you'll hear interesting things, like stuff like that kind of happens where you're like, oh, this is funny.
Yeah, because I know when I'm mic'd up, and every time I have to pee between set, I'm like, I gotta take this out. I don't think we're that close for you to want to.
Yeah.
You're gonna have like 18 seconds.
Well, to be fair, when we film though, I'm not like the camera's set and like I take off the headphones and I'm not like gonna go hit record. At this particular story I'm talking about, it was during one of the breaks, and one of the headline speakers was talking. So I was like, oh, I should get some B-roll of him. And I was filming that. And then the hosts went and went pee. So he had no idea I was filming. I could hear it. And then afterwards, I was like, yo, were you trying to talk to me in the bathroom? And he's like, why? And I'm like, because you're like, this is a great event. And it sounded like you were like taking the lav and being like, this is a great event. Like it felt like intimate, and like you really had to go pee. How much water did you drink? And he's like, no, I had no idea at all. I was sending a voice note to somebody. And I was like, oh, cool. Well, when you watch that clip back, it's great, because on the left speaker channel, we're talking about God and divine timing. And on the right, we hear you pissing for 2 minutes talking about how sweet this event was. So that'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, did you guys use it for behind the scenes take?
We should have. I don't know what they did with the footage, but they probably used the B-roll part of the Christian divine timing clip. But the bathroom clip, probably not.
Yeah, I love that you brought up divine timing. So it kind of sounds like you also take care of your spiritual wealth, right? Like you still take care of you as a whole. Being behind the camera, you're interacting with a lot of energies, and you're sharing very intimate spaces with people. Now I know in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, what does your spiritual practice look like for you to keep yourself on a level of pretty much, you sound very disciplined, your craft, and it takes like very meticulous work for you to actually pay attention and stay focused on capturing people, you know, in their element.
Yeah.
How do you stay like spiritually, you know, fit?
Yeah. No, I've been working on that too. I don't know if I'm that disciplined or spiritually focused. Like, don't give me too much credit. I mean, I've been trying to go to church on Sundays. I go to City Light. Really, really resonate with that community. I think they got something special going on. I could probably be better at reading the Bible more. But I've tried to just like, you know, talk to God more, like when I'm driving or in my thoughts, just, you know, connect. But I think, you know, honestly, that's something I'm trying to work on too, because I think, you know, I've looked at this year as kind of a rebuild year for me. And just trying to reconnect with getting, you know, better habits and better routine. But, you know, you kind of just got to take it one day at a time. And, yeah, I don't know quite how to answer that. I think that's a good question. You know, it's like, how, especially in a city like Vegas, like the first, you know, for a few years here, I feel like I completely stopped going to church.
Yeah, you step out, you can't help but to be covered in hookers and blow, you know?
Yeah, totally. Well, I remember too, like, because I went to like a bunch of, so I grew up Catholic and I went to a bunch of Catholic churches. And I remember the one down by Fremont, they only had like 6 parishioners because everyone that goes there is like out of towner. And I was like, I don't resonate with this. And then I remember I went to another one and it was like the dead of summer and I wore a polo and khaki shorts and they kicked me out because I had shorts on. And they're like, you can't be here. And I was like the only white dude. It was a Hispanic, you know, church downtown. And like it was like felt so out of place. I remember like when the door opened and I came in, everyone like looked and like they're like, a white guy, you know, and you're just like, hi.
A white man enters.
Yeah, exactly. A white man enters the scene. And I was like all hipster with my like polo and khakis and I had a skateboard because I skateboarded there to reduce the carbon footprint. And they're like, why do you have a skateboard? And I'm like, I'm not going to walk in this heat. I'm going to skateboard. And then this lady was like, you can't be here in shorts. And I was like, Jesus doesn't care what I'm wearing. He's happy I'm here. And then she's like, you can go home and come back or come back next time, but like we don't allow shorts. And I was like, okay, well, bye.
She's intimidated by your sexy knees or something.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, the shorts were just above the kneecaps.
Thanks, Becky. I know this shit slaps more than your fucking.
Yeah. Bye, Felicia. But and then I found City Light during COVID, and I started going there, and I really like City Light.
Got a good vibe.
Yeah, good vibe. Yeah. I think the vibe attracts the tribe. Is that how they say it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
We could probably be both dyslexic, and it sounds good to us.
Yeah. Your tribe is your vibe, or I don't know.
Your vibe is your tribe.
I was gonna ask you, what's been your takeaway for since starting this? Because I gotta give you a round of applause for doing it. Because I've talked to a lot of people. It's a lot of work. People don't see the work that goes into it. What's been your biggest takeaway since starting the podcast?
It's the commitment.
Yeah.
I did not know I could endure this much discomfort to actually go through with what I say I'm going to do. So working on not just the discipline aspect, but just holding myself at the highest integrity and operating on that frequency that I say I'm going to get myself to the best version of myself. Mm-hmm. That shit is actually really hard. Because it sounded really easy at first. I'm like, if I do 2 a day, it becomes a numbers thing, right? Mm-hmm. But I just don't want to just move through the episodes by just doing, I hit this number today. Mm-hmm. It's less about the numbers, but it's about the people that I've aligned to. In the first couple episodes, I'm like, hey, I got this lined up. It's more about shooting with friends and getting comfortable and getting people to actually share their story without. I've only had a couple people that's like, I don't know what to talk about. That's like fit and frugal. I'm like, fit and frugal is for me. You are you. Like, you don't have to be, if we got the same values in terms of what we want to talk about, that's cool. Like, I think there's one episode that we talked actually about being frugal or something, right?
Yeah.
With the unethical life hacks. But I didn't want it just to be about a very specific thing. because I find myself evolving with the guest, and every time I hear something, and I'm actually finding myself more in the conversations, and I'm developing who I am as a podcaster, not just someone that's just sitting here having an interview. I don't like calling it an interview. It's just a casual conversation. And I actually find myself developing this person that I see and I can visualize in that moment as like, I am now a woman of my words. I've committed and I said, I'm going to get to episode 21. And here we are on episode 21. And that kind of gave me chills. And I talked to Mike Kim yesterday about, he was like, hey, what's your sober journey like? I was like, I honestly didn't consider myself a sober person on the 200th day because I thought it would take a year for me to actually accept that reality. But even working with you on and off camera, I've developed like a certain level of self-acceptance now that I've given myself more grace and more kindness as a person because I get to listen and be around, you see us on camera, but I get to be with the person kind of in that spatial zone, right? Because our filming space isn't very big. And what I found, my biggest takeaway is that, like, if you say you're going to do something and you really show up for yourself, your energy is different because you hold yourself to a higher frequency. And then the people that you are actually talking to, you naturally just have a really high level of respect for that. Is because I never gave myself that validation up until, I don't know, episode 20th. I'm like, holy crap. And I'm like, I get why people want to quit.
Yeah.
Because you've heard me at like 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm like, oh my God, there's so much work and it's so tiring. And, even this morning, people are always canceling and scheduling and there's monetary investments involved. And it's not even about the money, but it's just, I want to be intentional with every person I have on, minus the, numbers game that we have to play. I think that's my biggest takeaway is just truly showing up for me, the guest, and just actually really holding intention and holding the space and be present with that person in the moment and not just to get through the episodes. Because I've been on a couple other people's podcasts where they're not even there. Mm-hmm. It's really hard as a guest because you're not connecting, you're not really in flow state, and you really don't feel their presence. And for me, energy is very important, right? Like I want to feel that we're actually in this space and we're actually sharing this moment. That energy doesn't really lie. But if you see, I feel like that episode that I'm talking about, I was like, as an empath, like I was just kind of like absorbing that nervous energy and I became this person that I don't really like, right? Because I'm just reacting to the questions rather than mindfully kind of like you pausing and intentionally responding to the question, because it really takes like introspection and like going inward of like, oh, okay, like this is how I want to answer this as my highest self. So we went like a whole loop-de-doop.
Yeah, that was 2 loop-de-doops. I like it though.
Whee!
So the commitment, the follow-through.
The commitment, the follow-through, and actually communicating what you want. And then you, as the person that is actually like my partner, like the partner in crime in this thing, you have to deal with all my shit. Because if I have to deal with other people, you're dealing with other shit. Oh, this guy canceled. We got to move to this day.
Sure.
It's about flexibility. You got to be adaptable. Mm-hmm. And if you're working with a crew, which is you, the 2-man crew that we are as the production and as the
talent
person on camera.
On camera talent.
It's even hard just between 2 people to communicate exactly what it means to hold on to the personal relationship, the business relationship, and not make it so transactional and, have something grow outside of that and just evolve together. Because we can look at our episode and be like, oh, like this is when to edit. Like I need someone that understands my personality.
Sure.
And that understands kind of like the vibe and the inappropriateness and all the shit that we talk about.
Jokes.
And the dick jokes and the ghost cocks and the...
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question? Because you had said that...
Can you hear that, by the way?
Yeah, but they can't hear it on the mic, I promise. But you said that you had felt like a little uncomfortable, like you had to get out of your comfort zone. What made you uncomfortable? Like what was it that made you uncomfortable about podcasting?
The cameras made me really uncomfortable.
Huh?
Yeah, like I'm just not an on-camera person. Like before, when the first day we shot and I needed some headshots, and I told Shawn, I was like, hey, can you just like snap a couple pictures of me? Like I could not stop laughing. Like I was just so uncomfortable on camera, is because I think it comes from like a deep-rooted fear of like being seen or something. And I think being on camera and being heard And the first episode we shot with Rob, which is a man of God. He's Christian. He's very professional. So I think that's the biggest takeaway I learned is that I should have started with friends first. But Rob actually held me accountable because if it was like one of my friends, I would have bailed. Oh. But since it was Rob, like it held my ass accountable to, I was not ready to be on camera. But I'm like, oh my God, he's here. He's not even feeling good. He's going to show up for me. So I got to show up for him.
Yeah, he was a little sick, I remember.
He was still a little sick. You remember his raspy voice?
Yeah,
He's like, he called me on the phone. He's like, hey, like, I'm still going to be there. I just want to let you know, like, my voice is a little raspy. And I was so scared that honestly, if it was anyone else, I would have been like, Shawn, let's move it. Let's move it back to, I'm coming back from Miami. I would have pushed it another 3 weeks to after my travels. But that comfort zone thing, it's real. Like, it was so uncomfortable that day. Like, you ask Shawn, if we see the first episodes of how uncomfortable I am, like, I was like, hi. And it all...
They always say start before you're ready.
Yeah.
But I think...
we jumped out of the plane and
we
built the parachute on the way down.
Yeah, no, we put the parachute on while we jumped. Just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think, sometimes it's easier said than done, you know, especially.
The 0 to 1 is the hardest. Like,
0 to 1's hard. And then I remember just telling you, like, let's get to 10, you know.
Yeah, like, let's hit 10, celebrate at 10.
Yeah.
Almost quit, bro. Do you remember that? I was like, oh, I think we're good for now. And, like, I'm going to take a little time or whatever. And I knew, I was like, if I quit now, I'm literally probably going to quit and just... like, I can't do it.
You can't. You got to keep going.
Yeah, so I think Nelson would be really proud to hear your story. I'll, connect you guys offline, too, because getting from 0 to 1, even in real estate, is the hardest. The first door you ever buy is, like, the most meaningful door, I guess. I don't know.
After you sell that house, you, like, take it off the hinges and, like, frame that door.
I'm going to cut down that door like in Monsters, Inc.
Yeah, exactly.
Put in a chipper and frame it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's been a whole entire journey of really you and I holding each other accountable and really having that hard conversation about, like, I want to get better. And we said since episode 1, let's just get 1% better each episode. We both tell each other, like, hey, like, how does this look? How does that look? And, it's just all about, I think, honest communication and being open-minded to new ideas because, you as a creative and me as a person that honestly, like, on episode 1, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I thought I was supposed to have, like, questions and all of these things. And it was so formal that I learned who I am as a natural conversationalist. And just being very transparent with our relationship. Like, hey, these are the struggles. This is my life schedule this week. I can't, do X, Y, and Z. And you've been the same. So I think that's the integrity that we both share.
Yeah.
Is having the same values even as someone that is in a transactional but not a transactional relationship. Because honesty, being open-minded, and transparency is really important for me for people I do business or just have personal relationship with. Because you don't want any weird, vague assumptions. I think that's a good word. I can't assume someone owes me anything just because we have maybe a personal back end, And I think that's been the most important takeaway. It's like the man behind the camera shows up for me. I have to show up for him, and I have to show up for myself.
Yeah,
Therefore,
totally.
I have to show up for my guests. Lana, did that answer a question? Because I took you. This is the ADHD brains that.
So yeah, no, you definitely answered that question.
The around the world.
No, because
Answer.
it does. I completely get where you're coming from when it comes to the like being uncomfortable in front of the camera, because a lot of people tend to be a lot more self-conscious on camera than they are in person. Obviously, you're in person, you don't really have mirrors everywhere around you, but when you're on camera, people get really self-conscious. What do I say? Do I sound stupid? Do I look stupid? Do I look fat? Is my hair okay? Like everybody.
I was asking that earlier. But to be fair, I just got a haircut, and so that's why.
Your hair looks good.
And I rushed over
like
here.
Wolverine.
I rushed over here because she's like, get here at 9:30, not 10. And I was like,
Do you understand, what was it, like 20, what was probably like 4 years ago, Wolverine was voted world's sexiest man. And we just called you Wolverine like I don't know how many times, so take it.
Okay.
Take it.
Thank you.
In the
Take
butt.
Take it. Shove
Take it hard.
deep.
Take it hard.
I'll take it. I'll bend over and take it.
I love it.
Should we spit on it or should he spit on it? I don't know. It's pretty big. I don't know, dude.
Freaky. We're fit and freaky. We've established this earlier. It's
fit, frugal, and freaky. We could do that like after hours. Like, welcome to Fit and
shit.
Frugal.
I like that.
It's all the blooper takes of all the inappropriate shit.
Yeah.
All the non-PC stuff that we talk about.
Clip everything. That was when we first met, like the first few times when you said stuff like, you'd be like, do my tits look okay or something? It was just like so off the cuff where I'm like, wow, she's no filter. I love it. You know, it's like.
You gotta let me know when my nipple is showing, okay?
Yeah.
That's a homie.
Yeah.
He respects your relationship.
Keeping it
mine.
real.
But it's also a business, that you have to look at. It's like you can't let someone do something against their brand just because you're uncomfortable. So that's something that throws you out of your comfort zone a little bit too.
Yeah, I mean, remember with Matt's, we had a couple audio incidences where I had to pop in and touch his lavalier.
Touch his crock.
Yeah. Well, the mic was in his pocket, okay? The mic was in the pocket.
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
He's all over his lap, dude.
Yeah. I just like straddle him.
He's like, ooh, his legs look so smooth.
I know. Well, he was putting lotion on before, so they did look.
We should have some like really funny behind the scenes of what actually happens.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes is always funnier than like the actual thing.
Yeah.
Bloopers and behind the scenes, always better material, better content.
Yeah.
It's because people don't realize, I think, that they're.
The struggles.
The struggles, or if you already started filming.
Yeah, of course.
What would you say is your most prideful thing that you're frugal about that people don't know about you?
Most prideful?
Yeah, or like, I don't know, like something you're really proud of that you do that's like super frugal that people don't know. Like, because I remember we were talking and you said one thing once and I was like, damn, that's next level frugal.
I don't even know what was it?
You're like, I only buy things on sale at Costco.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, that's next level. Like,
yeah, my pantry is stocked at very particular time because I know when that item goes on sale, and that's usually when I run out because I'm so disciplined in the things I eat.
Wow.
Okay,
yeah, and another thing is like I probably could have a new car. I just don't. Like I love, there's a lot of people that
you're a practical person.
Yeah, they're like, why don't you get this car? You can afford it. I'm like, it's not the affordability. It's I don't actually care for it because I love my car and I don't have a car payment, and it's just the most sensible idea.
I just fell more in love with you.
Aww.
I just fell more in love. I was like, oh my gosh, she's practical. That's hot.
Yeah, it's not even for my tits.
Well, I mean, that was there too. So now it's like the frugalness and the titties. Oh, bitch, let's go.
Yeah, making logical decisions, not emotionally spending. I think that's the most prideful thing now is how I developed the mindset to actually be frugal and only spend things of value and not just the inability of this version of myself. Like a year ago, I was emotionally spending because I couldn't regulate my emotions. I was just sad buying things. Just like an air fryer I bought in my single girl days that I thought would fix my problem of going through my breakup last year. Now I have to take back to Costco because I told Dennis, I was just like, I bought this when I was a sad single girl, and obviously it doesn't serve two people, so this air fryer is practically useless. And I still use the same air fryer I've had for like 8 years that's like about to fall apart. But I call him Darth Vader because he's round and really cute. But now I'm like, what do I do with this single girl sad purchase? That was on sale at Costco. That's the only reason I bought it.
Wow.
And then now I have to take it back without the box. Like, I never used it. Can I get a new one now that I'm in a happy, healthy relationship, but it needs to feed two people, not just me and my selfish ass?
Have you always been frugal?
No.
When did you hit the switch of like?
I think it was this year.
Oh,
like last year, I really tried hard to get my life back in tracks. And after deteriorating myself through financial means for so long that I understand that me emotionally spending literally just gave me the illusion of control of a life that I had no control over. So until I got my shit together and understand where exactly my source of unhappiness comes from, I began to allow myself to actually build on things that actually brings me joy and brings me true happiness, which is in the healthy relationships that I have with everyone and just the things that I choose intentionally to have in my life. That's the biggest decision. And also getting sober kind of helps too.
Sure.
Mental clarity, not adding to like the health components, all of that stuff. It just has made me a way better person. And I'm actually pouring from Tawni, not people pleasing, over giving, sad bitch Tawni that's trying to just do it for validation. Now, if I love you, like, I will love you to the end of the earth. That's just who I am as a person. But before, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Before, I thought I was just a cold, hard bitch with no feelings. But Shawn, thanks for being here. Like, you've always shown up for me.
Oh, it's over already?
I'm just kidding. No, but I just want to leave with you, being always there for me. Like, is there anything that you want to share about yourself that you feel, is really important about you that no one would know, or that you just want the world
Well, how much time do we have?
This is not a therapy dump, okay? I'm just kidding.
So when my parents had me back in
Damn.
All right, we got to
hot
extend the
summer
time.
day, yeah. Keep it rolling, keep it rolling. That's like such a loaded question. I don't know how to answer that. Is
Shawn's
there
like,
anything?
my dad put it in my mom.
Yeah.
Well, I guess what is your legacy? What do you want your legacy to be known as?
Oh, like what am I known as?
Yeah.
Oh man, like what's on my tombstone?
Type shit.
Okay. Like
Damn, we just hit him with like two
Two
deep.
deep ones.
Yeah, you guys are going deep.
Yeah, casting
We
couch.
can't get you on this
Frugal.
couch, okay?
You know?
It's really hard to get the
If
person.
the dicks
behind
aren't
the camera.
coming out, we're still going deep. Okay.
Yeah.
This will be edited out.
No. Oh,
The silence.
Okay, well then I got a little bit
He
more
usually
time to
does
think
that for
about
me.
it. If you're gonna edit out my pausing, let me really think about. I think it'd be great to be known as somebody who's kind and tried to always do the right thing when I could. If I can be honest, can I be honest? Is this a safe place?
Honesty is the best policy. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Great.
I don't know,
So
lying,
like,
bitching.
because I think about this sometimes when like Hermosi and them talk, where they say like, most people won't have more than 3 generations of a legacy. Like your grandkids might know about you, but then after that, nobody's gonna know about you. So I'm always kind of like, I've really been reflecting on that question before, because especially at some of the events I go to, people will be like, I'm doing it for my legacy. And I'm like, but aren't we all going to be like forgotten at one point,
Oh, shit, dude.
Like,
Oh, that was deep.
yeah, so like, I mean, even after like Queen Elizabeth died, like people were like talking about it for a couple of days, and then like nobody's talking about her now. I mean, I think the people who really have a legacy are like the artists, or like, it's like a very small percentage, but I think it's, what we can do in the day to day. If you can make somebody's day better by holding the door open for them, even though it's not going to be on social media, or being nice to somebody, or making an introduction and adding value. Like I look at things like that. Like I have 2 friends that are really good friends that I met when I first moved to Vegas, and Kat and Harrison. And I introduced Harrison to Kat, and then they started dating. Now they got married. Like super proud of that moment, because I'm like, I was the connector. So like, just doing little small things like that, where you're able to make connections for people or make people's lives better, whether big or small, even if it's as simple as holding the door. I think I'd like to be remembered for that. I mean, I really don't know what the future holds. But the legacy question I've thought about before, because in Harmosi's talk, I don't know if you've seen it, but they're like saying like, well, I'll be forgotten, and kind of has this like tangent too of like, who cares what people think about you, because we're all going to be dead one day, where you're like, oh yeah, that's true. Like just go full send. Who cares? But we still, I still get in my head once in a while, actually, from time to time, and think over. I overthink things, I think, but I think, yeah, the legacy question, long answer, but to summarize the cliff notes, just a nice dude.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
What do you want your legacy to be?
That's kind of what I've been reflecting on, is something that I've been writing about for my blog, is how would you live differently if social media didn't exist? Like, would you do anything different?
Yeah.
Would you still do the things that you do because you can post, right?
Yeah.
Would you be a different person if you can't post any of the cool things you do, and you truly just have to be a kind person?
Yeah.
Because I think it
Yeah.
removes so much of our ego.
Sure.
Especially now that there's AI and there's all these elements coming in to change the way we talk to each other.
Sure.
There is a need for true human connection. Like that's why I value like real conversations. You know, that's just not about being interviewed and having how many clips and is it going to go viral? Is it all of that? Like, I don't think any of that really matters, but I think I agree with you on that legacy. It's just be a good person in real life as much as people want, or as much as you want people to think you're a good person on social media, like be that in real life. Like just be authentic to who you are. And I think that's something that I want my legacy to be. If I'm as much of an asshole, awkward, whatever it is, that all of the negative things I can think about myself, I can make fun of myself for, because I think my legacy is just having so much humility and the power of being truly vulnerable and being truly authentic to who you are and just living and not just caring about what anyone thinks and just doing things for social media and just living a really connected life to where you're present with the people that's in your life and true to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you stay true to yourself?
It's like we just took a bong rip or something.
Yeah. Like, what is yourself? Like, who is the real Tawni? The real Tawni.
Who are
please
you?
say.
Silly,
goofy,
Yeah.
makes fun of herself and everyone around her. Type
roasting
of bitch.
everyone.
Oh, like, yeah.
I'm like,
And
if
a
I don't
pervert.
roast you, I don't think we're friends, man.
That's what I say. I'm like, bro, if we're not roasting each other, we're not
Shit
really
talking
friends.
is my love
If-
language.
If I'm nice to you, that automatically means I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If I'm an
kinda fake.
asshole, I'm like, we are best friends.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. Like
That's
how
me
we
and
met.
Tawni. I know that's
We
how
talk
me-
about
Shit
tits and
talk.
shit.
Yeah.
It's like, when's the last time you got naked? It's like,
This morning.
but yeah, no, that's so funny. Like, do you want to jump on? Like,
Yeah,
not on my lap, but you know.
I mean, on your lap, girl. Like, I thought that's what you meant. I said, yeah to that.
You want to be on the podcast? No. Do you want to be on my lap? Yes.
This is now my pet. But yeah, no, thanks for sharing who you are. And I think we embrace both of those values as just being, I call it like a decent human being, but just be a good human being, you know?
Yeah.
And it's really hard to actually connect with good people. So when someone actually, kind of like how I want to introduce you to people, this is a good guy. That's it. I think that's the best compliment you can receive. It's like a word from someone else. And it's not like tagging someone on social media about how much business you're doing.
Sure.
To be there for them in real life. That's it. I think that's the core of being yourself. It's like, what do you actually want to do? Like, who are you when no one's looking? I think that's the most important person that people can't reflect back on, because they care too much about what the superficial of them is doing on the outside. Like, how much validation are they getting from Facebook? How much validation they're getting? Like, now you said, I didn't even know you can track social media. That's a very important aspect of our life, is AI and algorithmic stuff. That's okay too, you know?
Yeah.
But I kind of want to do like a follow-up on this. Like, how much money in business do you actually get from being a good person in real life versus posting flexy things?
Sure.
That's a good one.
Like, how much leads, you know?
That's a
Yeah.
good subject.
You know.
That's a good topic.
Yeah. YouTube video coming soon. Don't know how to edit, so Shawn will be editing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fix my edits, please. No, but yeah, no, it's, thanks for showing up as who you really are. And it's really enlightening to just be in your power, you know? I think that's, an empowered person is an authentic person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just don't project yourself into other people. Yeah. I don't know. Should we?
Well, you're at 57 minutes.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So we should wrap it. Yeah.
But just do a little. You want to do a little ending,
little
like,
outro,
hey, thank you for
Yeah.
being. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks for being with us throughout this entire journey. This is Shawn Maguire.
Shawn Maguire.
All of our stuff. And hopefully you found something very, I wouldn't say insightful, but it's just, we're real people behind the camera.
We are
and that's
real.
what I want to point forth, is we're just not talking heads, you know, coming at you from a studio. We are real people with real feelings. And yeah, stay fit, stay frugal. I totally forgot what
Thank you, guys.